So we are just days away from the Tesla Cybertruck delivery date event, and one of the most commented questions that I've gotten on this channel recently has been, what are my thoughts on Tesla stock rallying up as we get closer to that event? And so in this video, I want to go ahead and talk about what we're currently seeing with Tesla, as well as what are my thoughts on Tesla stock rallying as we get closer to that event, and as well as just cover some other notable topics that we absolutely have to be aware about. Now, here's the thing, guys. One of the things I've said a multitude of different times on this channel is that, yes, the Cybertruck is going to significantly increase the total addressable market for Tesla. I mean, this is no secret. We talked about this several times on this channel. In fact, we also got this recent report right over here from the National Automobile Dealership Association saying that new lightweight vehicle sales continue to head towards a mix of 80% light trucks versus 20% cars. And so look, guys, it's obvious that Americans have a great demand for a vehicle like this, and this is something that's going to be great for Tesla. But in the long term, see, in the past, Elon Musk in the previous earnings call has said that's going to take some time for the Cybertruck to ramp up and really scale up and be profitable. It's going to take some time. And so I want us to kind of just address what's currently going on in the short term. Now, previously when Tesla stock was rallying up, I said that it was very likely that Tesla was gonna get rejected at that $247 area, and that is exactly what we recently got. Which, by the way, guys, if you're completely new to the channel, consider tapping that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future video. And while you're at it, also consider checking out the links in the description below, because one of the links is gonna be a link for my free weekly market post insights, where every single week I send out an email talking about what's going on in the overall economy and the markets, and what are things that we should absolutely be aware about. And again, guys, it's completely free. Of course, I'm also gonna pin it in the comment section down below, so be on the lookout for that as well. So recently I have been a bit bearish on Tesla stock in the short term, and I want to clarify, just in the short term, I'm still long-term bullish on Tesla. And I always have to just say that little disclaimer there, because God forbid I say anything bad about Tesla in the short term, all the bulls come out and attack me, and I'm like, wait guys, you know, I'm one of you guys. I'm bullish on Tesla in the long term. I've just recently been a bit bearish on Tesla, and we did pretty much see Tesla stock fall down exactly at the area that I said it was going to get rejected on. However, things are slightly, I believe, about to change, and I want to go ahead and cover why I believe things are going to change, especially as we do get closer to that Tesla, Cybertruck delivery date event, and kind of just talk more about that. Now, one of the things we have to understand is that Tesla stock is a high beta stock, meaning when the overall markets are pushing up or pushing downwards, Tesla oftentimes follows in its footsteps in a much more amplified manner. And so right now we're currently seeing the market actually push upwards, and I do want to kind of talk about that a bit further. For example, if we take a look at the overall S&P 500 index ETF, ticker symbol SPY, we see that the overall market has been pushing upwards. In fact, it's actually exiting from this correction territory. And so what we're seeing is the overall markets push upwards, and as I mentioned, Tesla is a high beta stock where it tends to follow the overall direction of the markets, and of course it has this amplified move. And so you might be wondering, well, why is the overall markets now all of a sudden pushing upwards? Now, there's a copious amount of reasons on why we're seeing this, but one of the most notable reasons is if you take a look at the 10-year treasury yield. In fact, I've mentioned within this channel, publicly several times, but also multiple times within the Push and Profit private group, that you want to have an eye out on the 10-year treasury yield, because there's this risk premium situation where if you have the 10-year treasury yields high, well, that takes away appetite to really put capital into stocks, because of course there's uncertainty with stocks. You don't know if they're going to go up and down, versus if you have the 10-year treasury yield high, well, you could just buy these government treasuries and have this guaranteed return. But when the 10-year treasury yields start going downwards, well, now the appetite to take on more risk and invest or put capital into stocks, well, that tends to start going upwards. And so what we're seeing again is that, hey, the whole rhetoric of the Fed's most likely gonna hike again, it's kind of disappearing. And this is something I've said for quite some time. The Feds are not going to hike interest rates anymore. And in fact, we still haven't felt the true ramifications of what they've done in the past. And so now we're seeing the 10-year treasury or the bond market, right? We're seeing bonds go up, the 10-year treasury yields go down, as there's that inverse relationship with bonds and their yields. And so this is causing people people to put more capital in stocks. And which stocks are benefiting the most? Well, you have the magnificent seven, right? You have Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, etc., right? And Tesla also falls within that line. And so that's why I believe that we're going to see Tesla start to rally up closer as we get to this Cybertruck delivery date event. It's not just because of the event, but it's kind of like this domino effect of what's actually taking place. Now, we also had the news with Sam Altman, right? I was about to say Sam Bankman-Fried, but those are two different Sams, right? But Sam Altman was actually kind of kicked out by the board of OpenAI, and so that kind of soured the market last Friday. But now he's actually hired by Microsoft, and so now markets are kind of pushing upwards. And I know some of you guys may say, Justin, why are you talking about Microsoft? This has nothing to do with Tesla. But here's the thing, right? Microsoft has a huge weighting in the overall S&P 500, just like Apple. And so when you see Microsoft or Apple doing well, that could push up the overall markets. And as I said now, I think for the third time, Tesla is a high beta stock. And so if you have big movers that have huge weightings in the market push upwards, you're most likely going to see Tesla stock follow along. And then of course tomorrow we have Nvidia's earnings report or earnings come out after the close of the bell. And so if they have good earnings, that could be another catalyst that just continues to push the markets upwards. And again, this could be very good for Tesla. Now again, I'm bullish on Tesla in the long term, but also if you're trading Tesla in the short term, this might provide a great opportunity to ride the wave upwards. Now today we also got an update from the leading economic index, and what we saw is that it capitulated for the 19th consecutive month in a row. Now I said it before, but I'll say it again, this report is essentially a leading indicator for how the overall economy is doing. And so some individuals may say, but why? GDP is actually still high. Why is this going down so far? Now, we actually have had a situation like this in the past. If you think about 2000 and 2001, and you look at where the GDP was, and you look at the leading economic index, it's kind of a very similar situation. But one of the things I say is that it takes time for the economy to actually move and feel its pain. And so right now, we may have that Santa Claus rally. However, going into the first half of 2024, that's where I believe the real pain is going to take place. But if you're someone who's long-term investing in Tesla and a lot of these companies, it's going to be a great deal, in my opinion, to actually scoop up a bunch of shares. Again, that's just general advice. It's not personalized financial advice. You still have to talk to your financial advisor if you have one. But again, just my idea of what is most likely going to happen, right? So right now, things are cooling. We're seeing the labor market cool off at a rate that the Federal Reserve wants. They want unemployment to tick upwards. They want the labor market to cool down because they're still combating inflation, right? And so we have this Goldilocks scenario currently where, again, if it's too high, well, that's bad, right? Because that contributes to inflation, and that means that they have to hike more, and they being the Federal Reserve. If it's cold, right, or just right, that means it's cooling off just at a right temperature. But if it's too cold, well, that's when we start to experience a real pain, because once individuals don't have jobs, well, they can't buy cars and they can't buy Teslas, and that hurts Tesla's, bottom line, or any other company, right? And so one of the things that we have to understand is that, yeah, right now we're in this Goldilocks scenario where it's just the right temperature. It's not too hot, not too cold. It's just slightly cold. It's just right. But in order to get to too cold, you kind of have to go through the Goldilocks area, right? The just right temperature before it starts getting a little too cold. And so that's something that we want to keep our eye out again, right? I always say that you want to pay attention to the fundamentals, the macroeconomic data, and the technicals. And I know many individuals ignore all the data points. They only look at one. Maybe they look at the chart. Maybe they only look at the news or the fundamentals. I always say you want to look at everything in confluence. And yes, right now, things are kind of looking good for the overall stock market, but it doesn't mean that all worries are kind of thrown away. We still want to pay attention to this economic data because it's pretty much essentially telling us, hey, a recession is around the corner. And so we want to really position ourselves. Now, recessions aren't necessarily a bad thing. Honestly, the best times to build wealth are actually during a recession. You just want to go ahead and make sure that you're positioning yourself in a great spot. And so right now, yeah, let's go ahead and take advantage of this short-term run up for Tesla. I think it's going to kind of be like that buy the rumor, sell the news, as right now Tesla's following along with all the good news. We do have the Cybertruck event coming up, but I believe that the Cybertruck delivery date event may be a bit of a disappointment, especially because we still don't have the price for the Cybertrucks, and I believe a lot of individuals are going to get turned off with the price. But of course, I don't have a crystal ball. We're going to have to stay up to date and follow the data. At the end of the day, you have to do your due diligence and not just follow what anyone says, including me or anyone on YouTube or X.com or any fund manager. What I encourage you guys to do is just continue to follow the data. Look at the economic data, look at where the market's heading, and then of course, just combine everything together to formulate what you think is best for you. So for me personally, I'm still not adding into my long-term portfolio for Tesla just yet. I'm going to be most likely doing that in the first half of 2024. Of course, I equally add into my long-term portfolio with the index funds. I do dollar cost averaging, but for individual stocks like Tesla, I don't do that. I wait to actually buy when there's a huge selling off and then confirmation of an uptrend, which is something I talk about within the Push a Profit private group. But again, you guys buy whenever you guys see value in. But what I'm saying is right now we're probably primed up and set up for a nice rally. Especially this week, we have a short week. We have Thanksgiving, which oftentimes when we do have short weeks because of the holidays, well, short sellers tend to close their positions because you don't want to be shorting something during the holidays and then some good news comes out and now, the market's open and you're screwed because, of course, there's way more risk shorting something than going long. And of course, you could just look up the reasons why if you don't know. But definitely, right now, things are looking kind of good for Tesla.
This is great!
But look, with that said, I want you guys to let me know down in the comment section below, what are your thoughts on Tesla in the short term or in the long term? And look, guys, I do indeed read the comments. I don't always have time to get to every single comment, although I try my best to go ahead and look into every comment. And so I want you guys to let me know, what are your thoughts about this rally for Tesla stock? I know in previous videos, I've said, hey, look, Tesla's gonna get rejected. It ended up getting rejected. But now I'm kind of changing my tune that Tesla, from this point, may have that little bit of a rally. And so you guys let me know, do you guys agree or do you guys disagree? Of course, it's perfectly fine to have your own ideas or opinions of where you see the market's going. Again, we're kind of talking about the minutia of the markets, and so of course there's going to be disagreements, but also you guys let me know about Tesla in the long term as well. What is your game plan for Tesla? What are your thoughts on Tesla? And also, what are your thoughts on the whole AI conversation now getting placed back on the map? It kind of faded for a while, and now kind of the conversation or the hype with AI is coming back on. So you guys let me know all in the comment section below. Again, guys, before you guys go, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And I'll see you guys on this next video right over here. Take care, guys.